All right, so we've got a big renovation coming to Fenway Park, not on the interior of Fenway Park, but the exterior. The project is called the Fenway Corners. It is a $1.6 billion mega project that just got approved, and it is very impressive. The area around Fenway Park is getting a $1.6 billion facelift now that the massive project called Fenway Corners has been given the green light by the Boston Planning and Development Agency. The new renderings show plans for apartments, retail, and office locations to the area around the iconic ballpark. Projects will range from 2 to 19 stories and will add green space to the area as well. So there is a lot to talk about when it comes to this potential Fenway Corners project. The first thing I noticed from looking at this aerial shot, if you look right above, or I guess behind Fenway Park, it does look like there is some type of building that I'm guessing they're going to be building there. You know, normally when you look at a home run at Fenway Park, right beyond it, there's nothing there. There's no like sight line, there's no building. If they build this, will it offer maybe views of the interior of the park? My initial reaction is I really don't think this is a good idea to build something, that close to Fenway Park. When it comes to Fenway, they've really done a good job. Every year, it seems like they've done some type of little renovation. Last year, they removed a few of the top rows out in right field and added a 2-story bar. So the interior, it seems like it's always getting renovated. The one unbelievable unique thing about Fenway is the virtual lack of upper deck, which I find to be really cool. You also do have a few problems because it is an old park. You're dealing with some obstructed views, but I think Fenway's like a top 1, top 2 ballpark in MLB. And then you can kind of see the areas. That looks like a pretty nice, like bar area with some nice wood paneling. The official numbers call for 8 buildings in and around Fenway Park, 5 acres of new space, 200 new homes. Kind of interesting. You don't normally think of areas around baseball stadiums for like new homes, but I guess there's 200 new homes. Maybe those are like apartment or townhomes, something like that. 40 retail locations, street upgrades, along with pedestrian space as well. So that is a huge project, $1.6 billion. Just to scale that, you've got the new potential Las Vegas retractable roof stadium costing $1.5 billion, although that's not official. So this is $1.6 billion. It is different because it's going to be, bringing in money with retail space, and it's the surrounding area. This is kind of the new up-and-coming thing we've seen with a lot of different ballparks where they're either planning it or they're doing it. The most recent one that I saw was possibly the Orioles. I made a video a few days ago on it, possibly doing something like this in and around Camden Yards, where they might be considering kind of a social space area similar to what the Atlanta Braves did. And we have seen some other teams do it. The Dodgers got a renovation a few years ago before their All-Star game where they renovated, right outside of the center field area. And it looks like the Red Sox are the next team to do it. I did also, interestingly enough, see this image when I was searching this. Whatever happened to the Fenway Theater? So the Fenway Theater, I had seen an article, was planned early in 2020, and I wonder if it was a casualty of the pandemic. But you can see the planned Fenway Theater. I believe if you zoom in, you can see some of the exterior walls of Fenway Park where it would be located. So that is pretty cool right there. But the Fenway Theater never happened, and it looks like with this new model, they just decided not to do it because this is where you would put it. You got a $1.6 billion project with a bunch of different things. I do think movie theaters will be making a comeback. I've been to a few different movies recently. There's something about them. A lot of people go into them. There's something great. They're like, oh, you can buy all the movies online now. It's easier. There's something better about going to a movie theater. You really can't explain it. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. A lot of Americans feel that way. And then another thing I saw, I got pretty excited about this just looking at it. I thought it was a new MLB stadium rendering. MLB unveils new virtual ballpark. Virtual ballpark will launch with All-Star Celebrity Softball Game Watch Party. So this is just some generic thing that they're doing, and I'm like, I thought this was some type of rendering. It's a letdown, but the rendering also includes an exterior parking lot. What's the purpose of that? I don't know. I guess you're supposed to like sit in one of the seats and it's like a 3D watch thing or something. But there was also that. And then yesterday I did a video talking about MLB attendance currently. I'm sure they're very happy. MLB attendance is up pretty significantly for a number of reasons, whether it's pitch clock, whether it's good weather, whether it's more social spaces. But I do kind of want to give my opinion of the big takeaways on the attendance. The first thing I'll say, I mean, if you're over 30,000, which right now, like, over half teams are, 16 teams are over 30K. You really have no reason. Like, I'm not going to hate on your team if you're over 30K a night. That's good enough. The only thing I was kind of weirded out by was San Francisco's decrease in attendance, especially over the last 5 or 6 years. They used to always sell out, average like 42 a game. They're down to 30K, but I don't think it's like a big problem with San Francisco because even let's say their attendance is down right now, you know what I think the biggest problem with San Francisco is? They just don't have a superstar. And they really haven't had a superstar in a while. They tried getting Correa. That completely fell through. They probably dodged a bullet with that. Well, I guess they were the ones that nixed it, right? Because he didn't pass his physical. But either way, I would say San Francisco needs to get a superstar in the offseason ASAP to really bump that attendance number up. But then just looking at some of the teams, I was a little surprised Texas was at 16, so like right in the middle. I understand you also have Houston, but Arlington, where it's located, the new ballpark with how good they are, I would have considered Texas to be like top 10 in terms of attendance. Minnesota seemed kind of low at 23K. Arizona, I was very surprised by that they were that low. It's been a surprising season, but there is some inklings going around. Will they move to Scottsdale? Will they have to have a renovation? That's something that's down the line, but it is something we're watching right now with Chase Field at this point. You either need to renovate it. I would say it's a fine ballpark in general. They've got a cool technology with those opening windows. Also, you've got the retractable roof aspect of it. Does that really even matter considering they're in a desert and it's going to be closed, I would say, pretty much every month except April and September? I don't know, but, they either need a renovation because their upper deck is way out of date. So we'll have to see what happens with them, but little surprised they're all the way down at 20, barely in front of Cleveland. That really shocked me. And then looking at the teams really low on the list, I mean, Tampa Bay is the one that sticks out like a sore thumb. Chicago's been terrible this year. Baltimore's another one that kind of surprised me, honestly. Like, I was looking at some Baltimore games, and that left field upper deck, they've kept it closed. I mean, there's, maybe on the weekends they'll open it, but I do really wonder if they are planning a big renovation to that left field upper deck, make it a party deck area. Is it necessary? I don't know. It's like, why would you take away from your capacity when your team's just getting good and all your young players are just getting into their prime and all getting called up? But that is something that they could do. And then Tampa Bay, I don't know what's going to happen to Tampa Bay. I really think they're on the verge of moving. It's a situation where you start 13-0 and you're fourth worst in attendance. You've been in first place since the beginning of the year. You've had the best record in MLB since the beginning of the year, and you still can't draw. And it reminds me a lot of the Oakland situation to where I don't even know if should we blame the fans or should we blame the stadium? And especially with Tampa Bay, should we blame the stadium location? That's a thing where it just doesn't add up. They're talking about building a new stadium right next to their old stadium, but the old stadium, everyone talked about the location of it being the problem. When things don't add up, that tells me there's something bigger at play, and the thing that would be bigger at play would be them moving to, in and around the Tampa area, Ybor City, or even just straight up moving to Orlando. I think that's the only two options right now for Tampa Bay, but that is a pretty big letdown in terms of their attendance. Also, you could say Cincinnati, but they're just getting good. I'm guessing Cincinnati next year at this time is going to be minimum top 15 because they do have a good baseball city, and they really have turned their season around. If you remember where they were at in like mid-May, they were setting the lowest attendance record, for Great American Ballpark to where they are right now. So that is just my deeper opinion on some of that. But the big story, we're going to have to see what this ends up being. Maybe we'll get some more renderings. Maybe that building is not nearly that tall. It's just hard to really judge it. It's like, are they planning to make that building that tall so you can kind of have views over Fenway Park? And if that building really is that tall, that's going to completely change the feel of Fenway. It's still going to be a great stadium, but it will, change it to a degree because that would be a big addition compared to what it is right now. It's just like a parking lot. I think that might be located on the other side of the parking lot, but that would be a big change there. And that is a big project, $1.6 billion that should be coming in the next years after it did receive approval. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.